Moor you see remembers. It breaks its secrets on the wind, though only certain ears are attuned to its mournful song. On its desolate expanse, where the ancient woods clawed the sky's bruised underbelly, stood a small farmhouse. Desolated, but perfect, some might say, for secrets to fester and despair to take root. This is where Arthur brought his wife, Eleanor, and where their son, Thomas, first drew breath amidst the biting winds. It began subtly, a quietness in Eleanor that wasn't her own, a gaze that drifted past Arthur, past Thomas, settling instead upon a particular patch of the moorland, near the narrow edge of the Whispering Woods. It was an unremarkable stretch of ground, boggy in parts, Tasaki grass clinging stubbornly to thin soil. Yet it called to her. At first, Arthur dismissed it as the solitude of the moor settling in, a melancholic phase. But it deepened. Eleanor started spending hours outside, just standing there, at that spot. She would walk, wouldn't sit, just stand, watching. At what, she could never wouldn't say. When she returned, her eyes held the distant light, her skin grew pale and taut, her laughter, once bright, became a fragile echo. She neglected the small farm, the course, even little Thomas, her attention held captive by that silent patch of earth. Arthur tried to talk to her, to reason, to plead. She would only look at him with those hollowed eyes, a stranger inhabiting his wife's form, and speak of a feeling, a pull, a presence that held her transfixed. The horror, for Arthur, was not just her transformation, but the place doing the transforming. That innocuous ground seemed to pulse with a low, silent frequency only she could hear, a siren song of the soil. It felt like a rival, invisible, ancient, and utterly possessive. Sleep offered no respite. He'd wake to find her gone from their bed, drawn once more to the window, staring out at the dark, waiting more. One gray, shrouding afternoon, a mist rolled in thick and heavy, swallowing the landscape. Eleanor was out there, as usual, standing at her vigil spot. Arthur watched from the condensation-streaked window, a knot of cold dread tightening in his gut. He lost sight of her in the swirling gray. He waited longer. When a sudden gust of wind tore a brief rent in the mist, the patch of moorland was visible. It was empty. Panic, cold and sharp, finally broke through Arthur's paralyzed fear. He ran outside, shouting her name, his voice thin against the wind. He reached the spot. The ground was soft, damp, but showed no sign of struggle, no footprints beyond her own initial path. It was just earth, but it felt different. Expected. He searched until darkness fell, joined later by a few bewildered souls from the nearest hamlet miles away. They found nothing. No tracks leading away, no sign of foul play, nothing to indicate she had walked or been taken from the spot. She had simply ceased to be there, as if the moor itself had opened a silent mouth and brave turn. Years passed like ghosts through the empty rooms of the farmhouse. Arthur lived alone, a solitary figure bound to the windows, forever watching that patch of ground. His grief was a quiet companion, his fear a constant shadow. Thomas grew up on the desolate moor, a quiet, solitary boy. Arthur tried to shield him from the story, from the place, but the moor had its own subtle ways. As Thomas approached manhood, Arthur saw it. The same vacant stare that would fall upon the window, the way the boy's feet seemed inexorably drawn towards the edge of the woods. The same quiet obsession taking root. Arthur's blood ran cold. He saw his wife's fate mirrored in his son's developing fascination. He pleaded with Thomas, spun tales of danger, forbade him from going near the moor's edge. But the pull, Arthur knew, was stronger than a father's warnings. It was a call from the deep earth, a whisper from the hungry ground. One evening, as the last bruised light broke from the sky and the moor deepened into shades of bruised violet and black, Arthur saw Thomas standing at the edge of the dreaded patch. His son's back was to the house, his face turned towards the silent, waiting woods. Arthur's breath caught in his throat. He hammered on the glass, a silent, desperate plea. Thomas didn't turn. He just stood there, silhouetted against the gloom. And then, as Arthur watched, his heart seizing in his chest, the silhouette simply dissolved. Like smoke in the wind, like a dream upon waking, Thomas was no longer there. The moor was empty once more, save for the deepening shadows and the mournful sigh of the wind. Arthur is still there, I'm told. An old man now, his face a map of sorrow and unrelenting vigilance. He sits by the window, day after day, night after night, watching that patch of moorland. It remains unremarkable to any other eye, but to Arthur, it is a place of profound emptiness, a silent scar on the landscape. The moor holds its secrets close, but Arthur knows. It waits, patiently, and he watches, a broken sentinel against the edge of an abyss that swallowed his family, leaving him sole, tormented witness to the quiet hunger of the earth.